You're watching Cox Connections only on Cox 11. Established in 1957, Volunteer Hampton Roads has grown from a small group of committed citizens to what is now a full-service management support organization for the nonprofit sector. President and CEO Beth Lloyd of Volunteer Hampton Roads joins us to tell us how the organization has evolved and the services it provides. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Gary.
Well, you do an outstanding job, Beth, and let's start. What's the mission of Volunteer Hampton Roads?
The mission is really to provide a resource center for the nonprofit sector, and we do that by connecting volunteers, but we also work with companies and their corporate social responsibility to really build the capacity of the community to make it a better quality of life.
So you have people who have the desire and the heart to go out and do great things and to volunteer, but there has to be some know-how, some skills.
Know-how.
Yeah,
some skill building and some connector and brokering, and that's really what we do.
And so how do you go about doing that?
We do that through a variety of programs. One of the things that we always talk about, we don't want to just give the fish, so to speak, we want to teach them to fish. And so we have a leadership training center on site for nonprofits. As you know, it's been a very challenging past year or two for the nonprofit community. Demands are higher, the economy is challenging, and so they're tasked to do more. So we're really going to help them build their programs, build their skill sets so they can do more for the community. We also work with volunteers. We try to match people effectively. You know, let's look at what their skill set is, but also what are their hobbies? Where is their passion? That's what we always talk to people about, and connect those folks. And then we do the same for the business community as well. What we found is businesses found not only is it good for public relations, community relations, but their employee workforce development. It's just as relevant in the nonprofit sector as well, Gary.
What are some of the key skills that you see kind of lacking in the nonprofit sector that you really are?
I would say basic business acumen, and that's not necessarily a negative reflection. If you think about it, folks that come into the nonprofit sector typically have a social service or programmatic background. They may not have that business acumen, and so that's something that we can bring to the table. We have pro bono faculty, many from the business community that come in, and whether it's teaching them to design a website, write a grant, go out and good old-fashioned fundraising, you name it, we can help them do that.
You mentioned fundraising. I mean, clearly we're in, you know, some tough economic times, and if a nonprofit really wants to make sure that their development efforts are working, there's a skill associated with that.
There is a skill set, and I think what we're looking at is to make sure that they have many aspects of revenue, not just relying on one source, whether it's individual giving, whether it's corporate giving, you name it, grant writing. We actually have a public library on site, Gary, and it's an online searchable database of over 90,000 national funders. So individuals can come in and search for those opportunities.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We were talking earlier how what this organization has done and what you've done with your leadership, there really is a correlation between volunteerism and the overall quality of life in this community.
Yes, and actually Hampton Roads is known for that. We were one of the first to establish a corporate volunteer council, even in the Commonwealth. So if you think about how giving we are, and going back even to the Tocqueville days, America really does want to give back, and we cannot do what we do. There are millions of hours that go into volunteerism, and in just this past year alone, we've seen almost a 50% increase in volunteerism. So that's been a good thing that's come out of the economy, I think. People want to do more. They're giving more hours of their time. They're also teaching their children to give back, and I think that's great. If they do it when they're younger, they're going to learn to do that as an adult.
You know, so many times I talk to my employees. We have a very involved and we promote volunteerism within the company, and I always ask the volunteers, what would this community be like if it were not for you giving back? Can you imagine Hampton Roads?
No, and you can't. And really, they're coming in. We're seeing employees, Cox is one as well as other businesses. They're not only doing done-in-a-day projects, as we call going out and say rehabbing a Boys and Girls Club, but they're doing high-level skill-based volunteering. They're coming in. It's almost like a loan executive program, and coming in and working with those volunteers and employees and staff of nonprofits and really helping them do their jobs.
So I'm listening to this. I want to get involved. Or maybe I'm in a program today, a nonprofit, and I need some skill building. What do I do? How do I contact?
Sure, contact. You can go on our website, volunteerhr.org.
I think we can show that. Okay.
You show that up on the screen. Give us a call. We have classes almost daily in our resource center. We've got an annual conference that comes up every February, not only for staff, but those board of directors as well, because you know, not only it's staff driven, but great leadership and visionary. I would think board governance is a big issue today with nonprofits. We also have a great service project every year, Martin Luther King Day. New this year, we're going to have some scholarships so the youth
wonderful.
can write something. They're going to write about community service, actually.
So that means that the winners have to come back and be on the show.
We'll definitely have them.
We'll have to do that. And
yes, that's great.
That's absolutely wonderful.
And so we've seen a huge increase, Gary, not only, like I said, individuals, but businesses. Our Corporate Volunteer Council that Cox, the member, has grown from over 50 members, almost 20 new members just in the last few months. So businesses are stepping up as well.
Well, it really is. I mean, it's Volunteer Hampton Roads is a treasure in this community, and we are a better community because of what you're doing. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the show today and continue to do all the great work that you're doing in our community.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gary.
Well, right after the break, it's the Student Athlete Achievement Awards, where young people are honored for their achievement in sports as well as their dedication to academics and community service. We'll be right back with more Cox Connection.